Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Labor unions are demanding President-elect Lai Ching-te make thorough revisions to Taiwan's labor law after he takes office next week. John Van Trist has this report.
President-elect Lai Ching-te is still days from taking office, but he's already facing demands. Close by the presidential building, labor groups have gathered to let the soon-to-be head of state know what they expect from him.
包括说加班费率40年都没改，我们希望能提高。包括说现在的补休时数只有1:1，我们希望可以比照加班费率去进行补休。
The protesters here want these and more changes in a thorough revision to the Labor Standards Act, Taiwan's labor law. They say the law has been in place for 40 years, but revisions since then haven't had much impact on workers' lives.
整体的工时并没有因为整个劳基法修法过后有任何的改善，有非常多的中小企业跟老板强迫员工用补休的方式来换休，甚至可能休不到。
They also say wages have grown too slowly. They say from the turn of the millennium to 2022, GDP per capita growth outpaced wage growth around 12 times over. They want higher overtime pay and an additional 7 public holidays a year. The Labor Ministry says it will be a while before any changes happen, and that adding holidays to the calendar isn't something it has the power to do.
加班费率和补休的标准是不是要再做调整？相关的劳动条件有的，我们还会持续来广征各界的意见，找一些共识，再来做一些滚动的检讨。有关国定假日的调整的相关事宜，就由内政部这边来去做整体的考量。
But outside the presidential office building, there are few signs of patience or an appetite for consensus building. The incoming administration faces what could be a rocky start in its relations with organized labor. Ryan Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
President Tsai Ing-wen is stepping down in just a few days, and her party's signature energy policy could be in jeopardy. Sally Jensen reports.
Simulating a nuclear disaster. With the change in Taiwan's leadership imminent, protesters in the capital Taipei fear a reversal to the government's planned abolition of nuclear energy.
我们觉得很不幸的就是蔡英文即将卸任，那现在就由这个赖清德总统执政之后呢，立法院里面国民党也占了多数，所以也许永和的这个势力又会从头来过。
President Tsai Ing-wen's successor is her vice president Lai Ching-te. But while their Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, won the presidency for a third term in January elections, the opposition Kuomintang, or KMT, won a slight majority of legislative seats and now hopes to undo the DPP's nuclear energy phase-out. The DPP has its roots in the anti-nuclear movement, and since the party's founding in 1986, it has worked towards phasing out nuclear energy. Back then, nuclear power made up over 40% of Taiwan's energy mix. When President Tsai Ing-wen took office 30 years later, it was at 12%. Now it's at 6%.
And that all comes from here, Taiwan's last running nuclear power plant. Under the DPP's no nuclear homeland policy launched in 2017, President Tsai has overseen the shutdown of 2 others, leaving just this one, which is also set to close by next year.
Tsai has had to balance meeting a global commitment to net zero emissions with skyrocketing industrial demand for energy domestically, especially from power-intensive semiconductor manufacturing. More than 90% of the world's most advanced chips are made here. Since the start of Tsai's 8 years in office, Taiwan's share of renewable energy, like solar and wind, has doubled, from 5% to almost 10%, still a long way from the 2025 target of 20%. But the breakneck speed of this energy transition has led to disputes over land with local communities and greater reliance on imported methane gas, which, like coal, is vulnerable to supply disruptions and emits more potent greenhouse gases.
对，但是它毕竟还是火力发电，那还是会造成不少的排放。对，那所以其实终极的目标还是希望说再生能源的比例可以大幅的提高。
A growing number of nuclear energy advocates say that to avoid an energy crisis, Taiwan must rethink its most controversial power source.
I support the idea of developing renewable energy, but you have to keep the base load. And the base load must be nuclear, because if we are talking about green, then nuclear is the solution. And this green energy is actually recognized by most countries in the world.
Despite her administration's push towards phasing out nuclear energy, Tsai leaves office with public opinion on the matter still divided. And there are external factors also at play, like military threats from neighboring China, which claims sovereignty over Taiwan.
Nuclear energy is one of these issues that's long contested in Taiwanese politics, and that is true before Tsai's term, and it will be true after. But I think what's interesting, too, is that under Tsai, we do see rising threats from China. And so it has come up a few times, for example, that nuclear could potentially be useful in the event of a Chinese invasion because of the fact that there would be needs for energy.
Under Tsai, Taiwan's energy program has seen a change in winds. She has expanded renewables and faithfully continued the DPP's no nuclear homeland policy. But with growing calls for a rethink, her no-nuke supporters may see their worst fears come to light when she passes on the torch. Chris Ma and Sally Ensign for TaiwanPlus.
Tune in to TaiwanPlus on Monday to watch our coverage of President-elect Lai Ching-te's inauguration. Public support for LGBTQ+ issues continues to rise 5 years after Taiwan made history by legalizing same-sex marriage. But as Reese Ayers reports, conservative social values are still impacting how queer people are viewed.
同婚支持创新高，同婚支持创新高，友善政策要更好。
Taiwan is marking 5 years since its groundbreaking decision to legalize same-sex marriage, making it the first country in Asia to do so. And here in Taipei, advocacy group Taiwan Equality Campaign is announcing the results of a recent survey that shows overall increasing public support for LGBTQ+ issues. Support for same-sex marriage has increased from around 42% in 2020 to over 56% this year. The poll also surveyed the public on their attitudes towards queer people around them, including colleagues, teachers and family members, with some stagnating results, showing people tend to have more conservative views when the issue is closer to home.
In terms of the social friendliness, we see the number kindly have rise a little bit, but stopped for the past 3 years. So we quite looking forward for another anti-discrimination law or more things done by the government and the civil society to promote our society become more and more friendly.
Taiwan is considered a haven in Asia for LGBTQ+ people, but some issues, such as gay men donating blood and IVF treatment for single women or lesbian couples, still need addressing. But rights groups here are confident that incoming President Lai Ching-te's administration, which is set to take office on May 20th, will continue the groundwork set by his predecessor. Reese Ayers and Devin Tsai in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The Health Ministry has proposed making Taiwan the first country in Asia to legalize surrogacy. As John Ventress reports, it's a deeply divisive idea.
Taiwan's well on the road to becoming the country with the world's lowest fertility rate. But many people in the country who do want children can't have them. The Health Ministry says it's drawing up a proposal to change that. A bill in the works would extend assisted reproduction to lesbian couples and single women, and controversially, it would make Taiwan the first country in Asia to legalize surrogate pregnancies nationwide, allowing willing women to carry other people's children. The idea of surrogacy is nothing new to Taiwan society. There are companies and organizations that help match Taiwanese people with surrogate mothers in places like Ukraine and parts of the United States. But legalizing the practice in Taiwan could make it more affordable. LGBTQ+ groups are particularly excited by the idea.
有一些女同志朋友，他们想要有下一代，但是在台湾没有办法使用合法人工生殖技术。男同志的朋友其实是去国外做代孕，哇，那花的钱就更多，可能都要几百万。
The bill would come with tight restrictions on who can be a surrogate mother, and it wouldn't allow payments to these women, only help with expenses. But some women's groups are skeptical about these guardrails.
会选择去担任代理孕母的女性，其实多数都是经济的弱势嘛。那他们用一个非商业化、利他的这个包装，其实这背后还是对女性的剥削。
The health ministry says it's not wading into the debate, just suggesting a way of resolving a social issue.
考量很简单，社会上有这些需求，有这些声音，那能不能通过，我并没有立场，我们只是把它演绎一部比较完整。
The actual proposal isn't even out yet, but already lines of support and opposition are drawn. Once it reaches the legislature, lawmakers are going to have some tough deliberating to do. Joseph Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
In an ongoing case in Taiwan's Me Too movement, TV host Mickey Huang has been indicted on charges of possessing child pornography. Prosecutors say Huang bought sexually explicit videos involving minors and was active on the forum where people shared such material. In April, Huang was given 2 years deferred prosecution on similar charges, but his case was sent back for further investigation, leading to the indictment. In related news, Taiwanese actor Nono Chen has been charged with 7 counts of sexual assault. This comes almost a year after 10 individuals first filed complaints against him. Prosecutors say Chen assaulted 6 women between 2008 and 2013. Taiwan's sea goddess Mazu is known for making long pilgrimages around the country, attracting hundreds of thousands of followers each year. But her popularity goes well beyond Taiwan's borders. She's becoming quite the international jet-setter, as Tiffany Wong now reports from Kyoto.
Hearing the wishes of her devotees far from home, Taiwan's sea goddess Mazu has traveled to Japan for a 2-day cultural festival in Kyoto. Hundreds of visitors came to see her embodied in this effigy, some meeting her for the first time, all of them hopeful that she will grant their wishes.
健康で101までお願いしますって。あとちょっとやけどね。
Every time I go to Mazu Temple, I feel like there's something in my life that I'm not happy with. So this time when I talk to Mazu, I want to just have peace inside my mind.
Mazu worship originated in the coastal regions of southeastern China and spread to Taiwan when the first Chinese settlers came to the island. Since then, she's become one of the most important deities in Taiwan, with over 1,000 temples dedicated to her across the country. Some of the larger temples, like Xingang Fengtian, hold annual Mazu pilgrimages that span hundreds of kilometers, drawing in thousands of followers to pay their respects to the deity and make their wishes. Ahead of the trip to Kyoto, temple organizers said they frequently receive invitations to bring Mazu abroad, but whether they accept is up to the goddess.
我们不能随便说请一尊过去，我来宝贝，我宝贝我们那个开台马祖就要去了，去我们就要很隆重。
Mazu's visit to Kyoto included traditional activities for her followers, like throwing divination blocks and exchanging coins with the goddess for prosperity. But according to temple officials, this only offered a small taste of what worship at a real temple is like. Mazu is now safely back home in Tsai County, central Taiwan, and the temple chair here hopes her recent trip encourages new visitors to the rural town.
我们香港是一个小小的地方，但是我们的文化很好。
But those abroad won't have to wait long for another chance to meet the sea goddess. The Mazu effigy from Yunlin County is currently on tour in the U.S., sharing the unique religious experience long cemented in Taiwan's culture, wherever the goddess wills it. Kama Shri and Tiffany Wong in Kyoto, Japan, and Chiayi County, Taiwan for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website and follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we bring you this British royal portrait photography exhibition. King Charles III recently unveiled his latest official portrait to mixed reviews. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus. Be sure to follow us on social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world.